Software design principles. What is the principle? Principle is a broad behavior with line applied to many situations. In general, a principle doesn't tell you exactly what to do, but the writer gives you clause as the as to the correct course of action across a wide range of situations. The details are up to you. Don't repeat yourself. You should avoid repeating a code as much as possible. We must keep in mind that we must find ways to reverse the code. We are very creative to avoid getting tangled up. Why is that it important? Makes the code more maintainable. Avoiding repeat code helps us make changing functionality more practical. Reduce code size. It makes it more read, readable and unstable because there's less code to understand. And sometimes behaving the code available to reuse we can use in and shorten coding time. It is simple study. These principles establish that code design documentation and every relating to it should be simple. It establishes that software should have as few components as possible, no use of functionality. Documentation should contain strict and necessary information. Code should be as obvious and simple as possible. Design should be simple. Why is it important? More maintainable, but the code is easier to maintain and update. Less documentation, there are fewer weird things to document, making the code simpler. Faster debugging by reducing complexity, errors can be found more quickly. Um, Greater economy returns. The terror effects above allow the initial financial investment in the code created to yield great returns. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. Um, the following principles are based on these two principles. Um, Solid principles. Solid is an acronym can brings together five key principles for efficient, replicate, maintainable, and scalable software development. S. Simple responsible principle. SRP. Every class should have a single principle. It should have a single purpose in the system, and there should be only one reason to change it. Each class should have a single responsibility. A simple task that should be embedded to class components and microservice. Use ABCD, SRP, one use uh, one use is A, B, C, D. Open closed principle. Code should be open for extension and but closed to migration when we have a good design. We just don't have to change code much to add new features. A software entity clause should be open to extension. Its functionality can be explained with external entities would closer to modification. If if one of the extension designed doesn't work, you can remove it without damaging the original code. List code substitution principle. Um, Objects of subclasses should be substitutable for objects of the superclasses throughout all code. List code substitution principle speaks of interface. Is if a software entity uses class, it should be able to use it classes derived from that class. Interface segregation principle. A client-specific interface for a particular set of clients Instead of one large common interface, multiple scenario specific interface should be planned to improve decoupling and change management. Clients, sovereign entities that use a sovereign entity or general class should not be forced to depend on methods they don't use. To address this large interface should be separate AA and break it up into smaller ones. These methods, um, bueno, three methods using the one method called GSCP. That's interface relation principle is one method, one interface. Uh, this is simple. And the best inversion principle, DIP, this better to depend on interface or abstract relations, and it is to depend on concrete places. The best inversion principle states that high-level models, that is those closest to images of what the software shall not depend on low-level models, those closest to the implementation details for the computer, but should depend on the abstraction of the problem interfaces. Furthermore, the implementation details should depend on abstraction and as well. The, the reference is this image. A the referencing A and the IP is A use interface B use también interface B. Consideration when application to the principles. The solid can be applied to places of object-oriented programming, as well as to functional programming and multi-programming programming. However, they should always be applied with proper planning methodologies and above all with how accessibility. Accessibility and reward can make these principles the ultimate goal and handle the development process. Conclusions on design principles are not simple academic views. They are practical tools that allow we to build quality software in the real world. Applicating can reduces long-term development time, improves collaboration between teams, and ensures that your code is calibrated safely. Yeah, the application code in GitHub. In GitHub, the code is mm, the code explanation. This line imports abstract basic classes ABC and the abstract decorator, the abstract method decorator. It use in define the first in Python. Let's be next is principle S3P, single responsibility principle, class measures. Uh, mm, this class measures. This class has only one responsibility to represent the measures. One representation, one responsibility. El source to recipient destinatario and the contenido of a message. This is single responsibility principle, meaning to class does only one job. ESP, this one moment. Principal GSP. Interface relations principle, and this is interface named enviado with only one method enviar. It follows the interface relations principle. Interface should be small and specific. Any class they implement enviador must provide its own way to send a message. Is ESP. Uh, Principle uh, open closed principle and discourse substitution principle. This class envío email and class envío SMS. And these two classes extend in the enviador interface and implement the enviar, this method. Thanks to the open closed principle, the subsystem is open for extension. We can add new types of sending methods. Boot closed for communication, no need to change subsystem code. The list code substitution principle is specific because we're NVML, uh, and NVSMS can replace the class enviator without breaking the functionality. Uh, Next, and DAP dependency abstraction, dependency inversion principle. This class doesn't depend on concrete class like envío email or envío SMS, but on abstraction enviado. That's the dependency inversion principle. Hit level models like service envío should depend on abstraction, not on low level details. Finally, if name. This creates two different senders, one for mail, one for SMS. Injects info the service envío, sends two messages using the app method. And the summary of solid principles, full names, the names is SRP, single responsibility principle, OCP, open closed principle, SP, List Code Substitution Principle, ESP, Interface Segregation Principle, y DIP, Dependency Inversion Principle. And then the action and that you have is this is my JML. Yes, time. Thank you.